All right. In this video, we're going to look at the purpose of kings, right? What is the purpose of kingship? Because for everything there is a purpose. And quickly, we're going to be looking at the purpose of kings. So let's define purpose quickly, right? We said purpose is the reason for which something is created or exists, right? It's the reason for which something is created or the reason for which a thing exists. Now, the purpose of kings is simple, is basically service, right? Kings, the purpose of kings is service. Kings reign and rule by serving, right? Kings come to life when they serve. Kings come to life when they are in the place of service. So the purpose of kings is service. We must understand this. As simple as it sounds, it's profound. The purpose of kings is service. So what does it mean to serve, right? What service is for kings is to build and to help others build, right? That is what service is for kings, to build and to help others build, right? Service brings kings to life. Whenever kings are in the place of service, serving, building things, organizing things, structuring things, bringing things into order, that is serving for kings, right? Whether you work in a restaurant and you are communicating an excellent delicacy to people, that is service, right? Whether you are the CEO of a multinational company and you are impacting lives, helping people build what they are building, that is service. So service for kings is to build and to help other people build, right? I wrote here that your greatness is seen in the extent and quality of your service. Your greatness as a king is seen in the extent and the quality of your service to people. So your greatness is seen in the extent and the quality of your service to people. We look at great men like, Aliko Dangote, Elon Musk, Bill Gates and all that. Look at the extent of service to people, right? Look at the quality of service they've brought to mankind. That is kingship. That is kingship, right? So the purpose of kings is to serve, right? Serve in quality and not just small, in large extent of service, right? So the purpose of kings is to serve, and we serve by build products, build services, build systems, and all that, right? So you serve at your place of work, you serve in your community, you serve in your nation, you serve in your family, you keep on serving. We adopt a lifestyle of service. Always, wherever you are, you adopt a lifestyle of service. So the purpose of every king is to serve. Now let's look at service versus slavery. Now when we say service, we're not talking about slavery. Service is free and willful commitment to advancing a cause. Free and willful commitment to advancing a cause. Service is from a place of love and not force or manipulation. Now it's important to note that, right? Service is free and a willful commitment to advancing a cause. And when we say free, we don't mean you don't get paid. We mean you are not compelled. You are not forcefully manipulated. It's of your free will that you decide to serve, right? And it's also from a place of love, not force or manipulations. It's a quote here that the truth makes a man unfit for slavery, but empowers him for service. The truth makes a man unfit to be a slave, but empowers him for service. So when we talk about building for kings, we are talking about it starts with building yourself, then you build people, then you build systems, you build structures, you build businesses, you build products, community, ultimately building the nation, right? Starting with yourself, building people, systems, structures, businesses, products, communities, and ultimately the nation, right? So you see the pathway. You start with yourself, and ultimately it extends from you even across to building the nation. So why the need for kings? The ultimate need for kings is nation building. The ultimate need for kings, the ultimate goal with all this conversation is nation building. The quality of a nation is foundationally determined by the quality of minds in that nation. You need to read that again. The quality of any nation is foundationally determined by the quality of minds in that nation. Right? Nations are built on the minds of men, and kings are responsible for building nations where people can be safe and thriving. The entire scope of kingship and the importance of this conversation of kingship is what? Nation building. Right? So, the reason why kings are important is because nations need to be built. Nations need to be built. So the job description of kings is building. Building themselves, building businesses, building structures, systems, products, services, ultimately to the end goal of building a nation where people can thrive in. Remember, it starts with you building yourself, because you can only give what you have, and you can only build who you are. Take that again. You can only give what you have, and you can only build who you are. So you are king, but you must develop yourself to the point where you can give quality, build people, and ultimately build the nation. Let's look at the goal, the King Leadership Goal. As an organization and as a people and as a community, we have a goal, right, for everything we are doing. And our goal and our vision is to have one king in every home. One king, at least one king per home. One king leader per home. One king leader who is knowledgeable, optimistic, patriotic, and accountable. This is our vision, right? To have one king leader in every home. Someone who is knowledgeable, optimistic, patriotic, accountable. Someone who can be relied on. Someone who is committed. Someone who has integrity, right? Now, we are hoping that you can join us, in this reality to make this vision, a possibility. And you are welcome to join, our networks and our initiatives, right? Quickly, just a recap of everything we talked about in this video. The purpose of kings is service, and serving by building and helping others build, right? The purpose of kings is service. If you have an issue with service, you might want to rethink again, right? The purpose of kings is service, and serving by building and helping others build. At your place of work where you're going to be working, the goal there is to serve, to give of yourself, to give the value of you to people and help them build what they are building. And by the time you start your own initiative too, you can begin to build, right? So the job description of kings is to build service, right? So we said you build yourself, you build people, you build systems, you build businesses, and ultimately you build the nation. Thank you very much for joining this video. I'll see you in the next video.